Greetings, mind crafters, and welcome to another exciting Minecraft episode here on this gorgeous snowy day. My name is Kimberly Quinn, and hosting our Mindcraft podcast. And I like to start out by kind of describing, because I feel like all of you are in my living room. I know it sounds really weird, but when I do these podcasts, it feels like an intimate conversation to me. Maybe that sounds strange, but maybe because I just love it so much authentically. But I like to kind of describe the views to you. So Giovanni is here taking a snooze. He has his own chair in the living room, and there's a crackly fire going, and it's zero. It might be actually less than zero. Last night it was -4. We did our walk this morning, and you could feel your nostrils sticking together and your feet squeak and all that. So it was just a short one because G gets ice in his paws, and so we couldn't go super long. But I just wanted to give you the visual. The snow is coming down, and it's really freezing and really gorgeous. And so that's it. So today, what I wanted to talk about is I'm so freaking inspired. This is a new author to me. I don't know if we all do that. I feel like maybe a lot of people do this. I have the podcasts I listen to sort of frequently, and I have books that I read and read like parts of over and over and do podcasts from them. But I also stretch and try new stuff. And this was book by Gay Hendricks called The Big Leap was um, suggested to me. I'm in a mastermind group, as I mentioned before. So basically, it's a group of awesome, very cool, very down to earth, smart, successful people, and they are all self made. Every single one of them that I've met has quite a backstory, and they're just some of the coolest people you'd ever want to meet. Extremely authentic. Anyway, so my friend Cynthia in the group put this out there to the whole group because a lot of us as entrepreneurs are this this what we're going to talk about today applies, but it applies to anyone because we're not just talking about money. We're talking about creativity. We're talking about love and relationships. So basically, what the big leap is sort of about. I'm not all the way through. I'm just maybe a fourth, if that, and I don't even think even because I'm just inspired here. About busting through the glass ceiling, basically. And wow, I mean, because for me, with my fast mind, and attention span and all that, if an author doesn't grab me in the first 45 seconds, it's over, pretty much, unless somebody I know very well says to me, Kim, stay with it for the first chapter. I'd be like, really? Okay. Because they would know me or whatever. But if it's no, actually, and this book grabbed me because Gay talks about it about the upper limit problem. That's the glass ceiling, and I think I also like I don't know gender he she doesn't matter to me, but so we'll call them Gay, right? Gay Hendricks, that's their name, and so it is such a down to earth way to this author talks about that glass ceiling, and they also say that. No matter how successful the person is, and just so they just with where I'm at in the book right now, there are some really successful people that Gay talks about who are already successful and then we became aware of that upper limit problem and how to bust through it. And this is I'm thinking in my life right now, some of whom are being redirected by unforeseen job changes, things like that, and it can just apply I think to probably everyone, that's a big word to say everyone. We'll just say most people, the high majority of people, because even if you're already successful, we come back to this place, and I had such an awakening, which I'm going to tell you about um, shortly, because I would not have been aware. And it's not even like a big deep story; it's just a regular story, which I think the regular stories are often more applicable, right? The ones that the everyday, ordinary kind of things. But had I not just read this book started reading this book a few days ago, I would not have had the insight into this thing I did that was exactly what this author was talking about. So stay tuned. So Gay actually starts out with because there are some people that aren't as successful, but one of them is very successful. Michael Dell, founder of the you know Dell computer, and apparently one of the most one of the youngest self-made billionaires ever. And so Gay talks about Michael because most even we're talking about even successful people get stuck in this conditioned response of the upper limit problem. And Gay talks about how Michael didn't arrive there just like by snapping a finger, or I'm paraphrasing here. But it didn't just happen. In other words, Michael had to kind of work at it, but to be open to changing it up and to bring in, new information and new ways of doing things, which a lot of us don't do. We get hooked into what our physical environment, what our physical reality is, and we're getting all kinds of messages from what's going on in the physical environment. We're doing this right, we're doing that wrong, and we get locked into that. I definitely have that. I have examples of that myself. But he says that Michael Dell wasn't born this way. None of us are or is. I think it's none of us is. And to get to that level, he says, of undefended openness to learning, we have to have this diligent practice, just like he uses a master skier example. I like that one, or a cellist. And to make these kind of leaps, we've got to practice this specific skill constantly. And so the main gist of this, the beginning of this book is to identify. We can't do what we don't know, right? We say that over and over again. We cannot do what we don't know. So to identify and then transcend what Gay Hendricks refers to as the upper limit, once we encounter this, then we can really take action. And so Gay says that Michael Dell, the Dell computer guy, right, and others now know that really, according to this author, the upper limit problem is really the only problem we need to solve. This has hooked me. This was like a page and a third in. I said, and this is again, this book surfaced as a suggestion from one of my mastermind friends in my group. So everybody is hungry for anything that involves mindset. This is the most positive group. I feel like I really gel and fit. I felt like I really, what am I trying to say? My head is faster than my mouth. That's my fast mindness, also known as ADHD, because I'm so excited having this conversation. I gel so well with these people because they're so positive. They're all about personal growth. That all leads to success, but that's kind of like this the after effect, or the like the rice pilaf, right? They're after the steak, which is changing your mindset and authentically making a difference, and all this other stuff falls into place. So this book is all about that. So he talks about Michael Dell and other, not just entrepreneurs. This is anybody, because again, it's not just about money either. It's about creativity and entrepreneurial. I don't want to insinuate being an entrepreneur is only about money, because with my group, that's the side effect. But creativity and love and authentically, your authentic purpose and meaning and making a difference, blah, blah, blah. So he says they dedicate themselves to solving this problem, the upper limit problem, and making the big leap. And then the results that happen speak for themselves. And then, I was captivated. It's not easy to kind of reel me in, like I said to you. I'm a total shiny object chaser, and there's a lot of and authentic shiny objects. This first chapter is loaded with them, and Gay talks about the path of the zone of genius, and that hooked me too. So that all these people he's talking about, they all learned the same, sort of life changing secret that this book is about, which is that the glass ceiling they were operating under is held in place by one single problem, okay? A barrier that they were not aware that they had. And that once they saw this one problem and then how to solve it, they were free to like leap and go beyond ordinary success to this sort of brand new and extraordinary level of abundance and love and creativity in their lives. And so Gay Hendricks talks about, they say, once you understand the one problem and how to solve it, you can do far more than increase your financial worth. You can make quantum shifts in the amount of love you feel and the amount of creativity you express. And then the author says that they've learned that this is essential to keep the heart and soul elements of life. Oh my gosh! And my mastermind friends are all about this. They're so authentic. It's funny because not funny. Maybe that wasn't the word. A lot of people label successful people or wealthy people often is jerks. Like, you make all this money, like, you should feel horrible about yourself, or I don't know. And the judgment, and I'm telling you that this group is just one of the night like one of the, such a breath of fresh air for me. And when I joined it, I wasn't sure. I mean, we're not sure when we try something new, right? And I just immediately gel with them. About 2/3 of them are in the Fast Mind Club. So right there, we're all like a bee's nest. So when you so when we have beehive heads. So when we have any kind of a when we have conferences and things, you got to be on your toes. It's a lot of fast neural activity going on. A lot of squirrels. It's a squirrel nest, and they're authentic and brilliant and highly successful. Anyways, little stray point, which feeds into my wiring, for which I'm not going to apologize, because that's wiring is wiring, and my wild and wonderful mind is me. That's it. Okay, so Gay talks about mention this point: heart and soul elements of life, got to be anchored, such as love and creativity, growing in balance as you reach higher levels of material success. And they go on to say that it makes no sense to take your big leap into this, awesome new greater financial place, right, of success, in such a way that it destroys relationships. And that's not, I said obvious, but it's not obvious to a lot of people, sadly. Sometimes they get seduced hook, line, and sinker into just the shallow. I'm not trying to judge, I'm just saying this does happen. There's all kinds of research on it, actually, with lottery winners and stuff. But they get hooked in with solely the shallow how part, instead of the authentic integration into the success of your fulfilling your authentic purpose. And you're also able to do more for more people, because that's just true. My dear friend Oprah says that a lot. You know how much I love her. She's one of my besties, even though she's not aware. She says one good thing about being rich is you can do so much more for people, and that's just true. So, I mean, like, on a big level, like, she started the school for the young girls in Africa. Da, 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 da. Yeah, on a smaller level, in our own communities, we can, give stuff to the baseball league, and while also maybe umpiring, and giving of your time, because that's tougher, right? Anybody can write a check, as they say. um it's harder to put yourself into it, and if you do both, that's amazing. So, yes. So they say it makes no sense to take your big leap into this greater financial place, and then at the expense of your relationship, your relationship with your own inner life, yourself, and your connection to your inner wellspring of creativity. Many people have made that error, and the result is just isn't a pleasant one to have happen to you, right? Because life is at its best when our love relationships, the cash, and creativity are all growing in harmony. So Gay, and actually I just checked the back of the book. His pronoun is he, so I can use that from now on. So Gay talks about, like, his inspiration for writing the book and everything, because it was really, of course, he had an experience like most of us who write books, that something prods you and pushes you to write it. He knows that, many, many, many of us, have a sense that we have just this unrealized potential in ourselves, right? And that we're kind of aware that we could, we do have this sort of yearning to reach this extraordinary level of success. But then something gets in the way, and that we can often, worry about falling short of whatever's meant to happen for us, this ultimate, meaningful, purposeful life, loaded with success. So he then goes into his moment of discovery, and wow, this tripped my cord too. This was he kind of lassoed me several times in the first 5 pages. So he talks about this very regular story about his daughter. I think it sounds like a teenager, or maybe a little younger, I'm not sure. Anyway, she went off to um to summer camp, and all of a sudden, he was in his office or whatever, and starts just missing her. Then that raised up to, oh, maybe she's not okay. What if she's not making friends? What if she's not having fun? What blah, blah, blah. So he calls the dorm supervisor at the camp, full of what if she's homesick and all this stuff. And the dorm supervisor just reassures Gay that His daughter is fine. She's out there. The dorm supervisor could see her right out the window playing soccer with some other girls, and then explained to him that it was completely normal. Three other parents had called that day, and she's fine. So go ahead. And then he said he thanked the camp counselor, dorm supervisor, whatever, and hung up. He felt a little foolish, and maybe even a little overprotective. I'm not sure. I'm paraphrasing here. And he thought to himself, this is an awakening moment, because how often have we all done this? He said he questioned himself, how did I go from feeling so good? He talked about he was feeling so good in the morning, everything was going well in his work, his relationships were all good. Um, and he even talked about leaning back in his chair and doing a big stretch before he made that phone call. He felt a ton of life satisfaction. That's when he had this random squirrel thought about his daughter, and missing her, and what if she's okay, and what if she's homesick. So he said, how did I go from sort of reflecting on everything going well for me, wife, relationships, ba 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 ba, work, all of it, to being in this kind of place of, sort of panicking about my kid when I didn't have any factual grounds for it. And he thought, wow, that went so quickly. Basically, I went from feeling good one moment to manufacturing, great word there, to manufacturing a stream of painful images in the next moment. So he was kind of had this wave of awareness that he created this whole storyline because he was feeling good. How many times have we done this? He was just having this great morning, no issues. I told you, reflected on all those bigger stuff, and that felt so good that he admitted something happened. He just created it because that was apparently he hit the ceiling of how good can I feel on this day. So Gay then admits to us that some part of him was afraid of enjoying all that positive energy for an extended period of time. It's kind of like we put this limit on, okay, life's going so well, so well, so well. We all know it's a lasagna noodle, right? There's ups and downs. So this has got to be the top of this, this little peak here, and now we're headed down. We have this. A lot of us do that. I catch myself sometimes. Well, not so much now, but I definitely in my younger years more, and even occasionally now it'll happen. I think it's just at a seasoned and fabulous 59. I catch it a little more. But I caught myself a few days ago. I'm going to tell you about that in a little bit. So he talks about this as reaching his upper limit of how many positive feelings he could handle. So because he reached the limit, he then basically threw a wrench in it, in like the happy wheel, and created this new story of his daughter being homesick, which she wasn't, just to deflate the happy bubble. Okay, and I mean this was just a huge eye opener, because here's the thing. I think any human being out there, even the Zen monks, because I'm a big fan of monks actually, and obviously something, you know, they're a monk for a reason, right? So who knows? But they, even a Zen monk early on, must have had experiences like this. So Gay is super honest about the fact that his happy bubble was so full in that morning, with regular good things happening. Nothing, it's just ordinary good morning. Everything happened in the bigger picture, good marriage, da 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 da, da, health, blah 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 blah. So he said, he hit the upper limit problem. He hit his upper limit of his happy bubble being as full as he was willing to tolerate. So then he says, worrying about having a child away from home for a couple of weeks or whatever is sort of an immediate way, a handy way to bring about feeling badly. And he also admits, let's say, I think his daughter's name is Amanda, had Amanda not been away at summer camp, he admits he would have found some other way, used some other train of thought to dampen his mood. And so many of us we self sabotage on bigger levels, for sure, definitely. This is just, we're talking about reaching a happy limit is what we're talking about. Okay, I'm feeling too good. I'm feeling too good. I got to make something up. I got to bring some drama into my life. If I really don't have any drama, which Gay did not have on that day, then I'll create it, because the door's closed, the chapter's closed on my happiness. I've got to switch back to, ready? Your thermostat, your comfortable thermostat, and we all have one. This is such a brilliant discovery on the part of Gay Hendricks. We all have this kind of comfortable place that we will retreat to when we feel like we've had enough happiness. It's kind of a protective thing. If I felt happy for too long, then what could happen? So instead, we kind of subconsciously or unconsciously let out some air out of that happy bubble and we retreat right back to sort of our a set point, our set point or thermostat for where we feel emotionally comfortable. Enough happiness. I need to go back to here now. So then Gay goes on to talk about how once he kind of the light bulb went on with this whole thing, how he began to see this pattern. It became sort of obvious in other areas of his life, and he talks about enjoying a period of relationship harmony. Right, everything's going well, and I'm just saying, let's say dates or this or that, and we're not saying breaking it off even, but stopping the flow of this connection by maybe criticizing or judging or starting an argument. So the upper limit problem kept showing up for him. He says even in his eating habits. We've all done this, haven't we? Especially now because it's currently January. What is the third week of January? And how many of us are the New Year's resolution? We're gonna wake up and eat hummus and chickpeas and carrot sticks for breakfast every day, and then before you know it, you're right back to stopping at Dunks and getting that donut and latte on the way to work. I mean, you know what I mean? I'm not a coffee drinker, but I totally when I cave on that, it's usually I'm just gonna admit this to you, it's usually the King, Burger King, and I don't do it often, but when I really want a junk fix, I'm not much of a sweet tooth. I'll get that burger and fries, and man, does that feel good sometimes. So I can crank along, chickpeas and tomatoes for breakfast, which actually I like, and then all of a sudden it's like my body's saying, okay, we've been behaving for 3 weeks now. I think we can hit the king on the way to somewhere. And don't we all do that? So he talks about the same thing. Also, we do it with exercise, especially this time of year. People decide they're going to be on the treadmill, they're going to do 30 minutes, they're going to practice yoga. They get the YouTube videos and the yoga mat, get the really aim high, get the Lululemon yoga mat. And then 3 weeks in, right about now, actually, Craigslist and eBay and everything kind of explode with all the treadmills and ellipticals and stairmasters that are now on sale for half of what you bought them for because people reach their upper limit, their upper limit. Then Gay talks about how he realized that this same pattern was sort of global. As people, we enjoy a period of peace, and there's inevitably a war. The economy's booming and busting. Then we slide into a recession or depression. He says everywhere he looked, he was seeing evidence of this pattern. So eventually, he says he reined in the wild horses of his imagination and focused on the key step that every researcher wants to sort of start with: stating the problem to be solved, and then the questions to be answered. So Gay Hendricks states his problem like this. He says, I have a limited tolerance for feeling good. When I hit my upper limit, I manufacture thoughts that make me feel bad. The problem is bigger than just my internal feelings, though. I seem to have a limited tolerance for my life going well in general. When I hit my upper limit, I do something that stops my negative. Oh, sorry, gotta repeat. When I hit my upper limit, I do something that stops my positive forward trajectory. I get into a conflict with my ex wife, get into a money bind, or do something else that brings me back down within the bounds of my limited tolerance. So the light bulb goes on here because this actually brought me to a place of the fact that we are actually wired to think negatively for primal reasons, for survival reasons. Back when saber-toothed tigers were, chasing us or ducking into caves, and pterodactyls were ready to scoop us off the ground because we had to look for the problem because survival was so difficult back then. And another inspiration here, there's a TEDx uh, video that I show in my Minecraft class, and it is Allison Ledgerwood. She's a social psychologist, I'm pretty sure. Anyway, she talks about this very thing about how we are wired to get stuck in the negatives, and so initially it's a heavier lift to shift out of the negative into the positive, especially when we already have let ourselves slide into the negative. It's that much tougher to kind of climb out because we're wired that way from way, 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 way back when. And she uses all different examples. So again, her name is Allison Ledgerwood. I would strongly encourage looking her up. I'm pretty sure it's called Getting Stuck in the Negative or something. But if you put in Allison Ledgerwood and then maybe negative thinking or something, it'll pop up. But this is exactly what Gay Hendricks is talking about in his book, The Big Leap, as he kicks us off to understanding about this glass ceiling that he labels as the upper limit problem. So I did not even set out to have this be like a part one, part two, part three, but I am so excited. And this is definitely my ADHD hyperfocus, fast mind hyperfocus, because I'm immersed in this whole thing. And then I'll shed some light in the next episode how just 1 or 2 days into starting this book, I had awareness in my living room. It's not even a big story. It's not like huge and deep. It's just I would have gone right past it had I not read this. Like, oh my God, I'm doing this. I'm doing this right now by some of like a little bit of avoidance stuff with, I'll tell you later because I'm going to mark it down so that I for sure remember it in part two of The Big Leap. And so once again, I'd like to thank all of my listeners, my devoted Mindcraft listeners, for choosing to spend your life minutes to be with us here in my living room with Giovanni and the crackling fire. And I'm grateful for all of you. And that's it. Have a mindful day.